technical issue. So, we'll wrap it up there since my mouse died. Do you have any questions? And I know that was sort of a blast from a fire hose, but we're trying to keep.
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left here for questions for anybody.
I have a few tips that I thought of while the other two speakers were talking. One is, anyway, I noticed the number of hands for people that have payroll. If you have payroll, you should really get somebody to do your quarterlies for you. The reason I say that is I see more errors when the W-2s are issued, and it's always Social Security always comes a year and a half later and says, hey, your W-2s don't equal your 941s. In my company, you bring in QuickBooks, we can have that done in an hour. It costs you $50 every quarter, and you have no issues. If there is an issue, we take care of it and we don't charge for it, okay? Because that's our job. We're supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be reconciling that. So that was one thing I thought of when Mike was talking. Another one was have a separate checkbook and a separate credit card, because it makes it a lot easier, especially if you're doing QuickBooks, to just reconcile that bank statement right in QuickBooks. There's no personal checks. There's nothing to worry about that way. It's just all in QuickBooks. The other thing we were talking about, the balance sheet and how you should have a balance sheet. I picked up a new client we're amending his 2012 tax return because the last accountant, he didn't have a balance sheet. Well, he was an investor in apartment buildings. They missed $100,000 in a loan. And because they didn't do a balance sheet, nobody noticed it. And because the loans weren't reconciled. So that's why, putting everything in the QuickBooks, if you put every check that you write, every loan that you get, if that's all in QuickBooks, I can at least take QuickBooks and look through it and start saying, okay, this should have been here or whatever. It's better than you just coming in with a shoebox, because I can't tell you from the shoebox what that is, okay? Just another horror story, I had a guy that bought into a franchise, and he didn't do QuickBooks, he just brought in his checkbook, but he didn't have his franchise fee in there. He went 5 years without deducting any of the franchise fee. We had to go back and amend 3 years worth of taxes, and he lost a couple of years that he couldn't deduct because of that. So you should really, get a software that you're putting every single check that you write or every credit card that you use or whatever goes in that software. Either Peachtree or QuickBooks or whatever else you can find. Anything's better than nothing. And then John had mentioned separation of duties. Never give up signing checks. Don't get a check stamp or a signature stamp or anything. It's the worst thing. Take the half hour a week it takes to sign. If you have somebody else make the checks, fine, but you sign them. You know exactly what you're signing every single check. And I'm sure you've heard of the horror stories too. I mean, I know a guy that his receptionist ordered a business credit card. Didn't tell him about it. She got the mail, she signed the checks, so she'd use the credit card for personal use. Run out and get the mail every day. Once that came in, she cut a check and she signed it, paid for it. And the only way they caught her is she took vacation one week and the credit card bill came in. Never give up your check signing. That's the one thing you have to hang on to.
Another piece of advice, I guess, is keep your personal and your business separate. If you're going to write some checks out of your business checkbook to pay personal bills, don't do it directly. Take a draw out of your account for $500 or $1,000 or whatever the number is, put it into your personal checkbook, then write the bills out of your personal checkbook. It just gets to be unmanageable and a mess if you're paying personal bills out of your business checkbook, and sometimes paying your business bills.
I was just
out
going
of
to say
your
the
personal
reverse is true
checkbook.
also.
And and then charge cards too. Have separate personal charge cards from business charge cards, because as soon as you mix the two up, it gets to be a real hassle.
But see, those are your audit trail too. You get a bank statement every month, you get a credit card statement every month. Those are what we're reconciling every single month. So if it's all business, we know that everything on there is business. And being the accountant looking at it, it's like, okay, where do we put it? We know that you use it for business, where does it go? Okay? Yeah, that's, even a sole proprietor doesn't have to have a separate checkbook, but I recommend it to every one of my clients.
One of the things that I do at Quick Start is, we help, prepare business plans and help get the financing in place, but one of the other things we do is we work with companies that, and maybe they were having cash flow problems because their debt structure is all screwed up. Because, a lot of businesses came through the, whatever you want to call it, the downturn in the economy, and a lot of them failed, but a lot of them did whatever they needed to do to get through, and and they made it through. But now, they borrowed from all different places, and they got all these monthly payments going out to different places, and their cash flow is strained. Well, sometimes what we can do is we can take a look at that debt, and if they've got some sufficient collateral or whatever, maybe we can combine that debt, term it out over a period of time, and get those monthly payments down to help cash flow. Because, as you know, in small business, cash is king. You're out of cash, you're out of business. But one of the things that we run up against sometimes is that credit card issue. And if you're trying to, a lot of the businesses that we help get loans, they have an SBA guarantee. And you can refinance credit card debt with an SBA loan, but only business debt. So if you've got that mixture of business and, and personal, it just becomes a big pain in the, to try and, get that refinancing done.
Good question, yeah.
You're using a portion of your home for your office. Do you recommend keeping track monthly of that portion of utilities, for instance, or do you just do that once at the end of the year?
No, what you're doing at the end of the year, and my suggestion would be at the end of the year, go out to WPS website and print off your utilities for the year. That, even though it's business use of the home, it's really personal. And if you really wanted to bring it down, you'd be saying, I'm renting this portion of my house, okay? You're paying it all personal, but when it comes to taxes, that's not something I would show on a financial statement to a bank. I wouldn't show any of the business use of the home or anything like that. It's strictly a tax. This is, I got a room that's 10% of my house, here's 10% of my utilities, 10% of my insurance, interest and taxes, and don't get me wrong, it's a really good thing because it knocks down Social Security and Medicare taxes also. But it's something that at the end of the year when you're doing taxes, that's coming in right along with your property tax, your mortgage interest. You should be bringing in your utility bills, and that goes for repairs that would incorporate the whole house. You put on a new roof, you get a percentage of that new roof can be deducted on that business use of the home.